Today's story is from trash collector to tech genius, a boy who coded his way out of poverty. The sun crawled slowly over the sea of tin roofs, casting a dull glow on the slums of Dharavi, Mumbai. A dense fog of smoke and sewage hung in the air, rising from burning trash piles and open drains. For 10-year-old Aarav, this smell was not disgusting, it was familiar. It was home. He lived in a one-room shack with his mother Meena and younger sister Priya. His father had left years ago, and Meena worked at a garment factory, stitching cheap clothes for rich people she'd never meet. Every morning before schoolboys hit snooze buttons on their alarms, Aarav was already out on the streets, pulling a filthy sack across the ground, searching for recyclables, metals, plastic bottles, anything that could be sold for a few rupees. He didn't mind the work. What he minded was the look people gave him, the kind that sliced deeper than hunger. Pity mixed with disgust. But Aarav had a secret. He was curious. Among the banana peels and broken bottles, he often found pieces of discarded electronics, radios, chargers, old phones. While others saw junk, he saw puzzles. And he loved solving puzzles. One day, something magical happened. Behind a gated apartment complex, buried in a mound of garbage, he saw it, a laptop. The screen was cracked, keys were missing, and a corner had melted slightly, but it was unmistakably a real laptop. His heart thumped like a drum. He looked around, no one had noticed. He pulled it from the pile, wiped off the slime with his shirt, and sprinted home. Meena scolded him for bringing garbage home again, but when she saw the excitement in his eyes, she said nothing more. That night, with a candle flickering in the corner, Aarav opened the laptop and stared at the dead screen. He didn't know how to make it work. He didn't know what RAM or a hard drive was. But he swore he'd figure it out. The next day, he took it to Thomas, an old electronics repairman who ran a shop nearby. Thomas chuckled at the sight of the battered laptop. "It's dead, boy. No power, no battery, no life," he said. "But can you show me what's inside?" Aarav asked. Impressed by the boy's eagerness, Thomas opened it up and began explaining the parts. Aarav listened like he was being handed the keys to a hidden kingdom. From that day on, Aarav visited Thomas every evening. He watched him fix radios, rewire circuits, and sometimes even work on computers. Thomas noticed the boy's sharp memory. One day he handed Aarav a dusty old computer manual. "Learn this. If you can read it, you can learn anything." Aarav did more than read. He memorized. Months passed. Thomas, moved by the boy's dedication, gave him a working CPU from the 90s. With the help of thrown-out peripherals, Aarav assembled his Frankenstein machine. It had no internet, no mouse, but it booted. Using an old offline Linux distribution Thomas had installed, Aarav began typing. The screen flashed. "Print, hello, world." Aarav laughed out loud. "It's talking to me," he shouted. He spent hours learning programming basics from donated books and offline PDFs, Python, HTML, a bit of C. Every time he learned something new, it was like finding a new piece of his broken life that suddenly made sense. At 14, Aarav heard about a community-run hackathon for youth in a local NGO center. It was his chance to see other coders, real coders. He borrowed clothes from a neighbor, walked 2 hours to reach the venue, and submitted his name. The challenge? Build a basic mobile app prototype to solve a local problem. Aarav pitched. An app that connects rat pickers with recycling centers directly. He had 3 hours and a borrowed laptop. He coded like a man possessed. When the time was up, his fingers were trembling, his code was buggy, but it worked. He didn't win first prize, but he got something better. A man named Rajiv approached him afterward. "You built this with no formal training?" Rajiv asked, impressed. Aarav nodded. "I want to help you," Rajiv said. Rajiv tried enrolling Aarav in online coding boot camps, but none would accept a boy without formal education or internet access. Still, Rajiv didn't give up. He gave Aarav an internet dongle and a refurbished laptop. Now, Aarav could finally access the world. He stayed up every night watching YouTube tutorials, attending webinars, and solving challenges on free platforms like CodeShift and HackerRank. Many times, he failed. His code wouldn't compile. He'd stare at error messages for hours. But he never quit. His dream? To become a software engineer. Not for the money. Not for fame. He wanted to build something that mattered. One night, he posted a small JavaScript tool he'd built on GitHub. It went unnoticed. Until a woman named Neha Jain, a senior software developer at a top tech company, commented on it. "This is impressive for someone self-taught. Message me." He did. She became his mentor, guiding him through real-world coding, giving him tasks, helping him understand the logic behind the language. "You're not just talented, Aarav," she once told him. "You're built for this." Those words stayed with him like armor. At 16, Aarav launched his first real app, Cleanlink. It was simple, a platform that allowed waste collectors to register and connect with recyclers or small businesses needing disposal services. He marketed it locally, handing out flyers, convincing workers in his neighborhood to try it. It started slow, but it caught on. Cleanlink began getting downloads. Small ones, but enough. Local NGOs took notice. Some even offered funding. 2 years later, a well-known Indian YouTuber made a video about tech from the trash and featured Aarav. Within a week, Cleanlink's downloads crossed 50,000. News outlets picked up the story. Slum Boy builds app to help waste workers, made headlines across the country. Aarav was stunned. For the first time, he wasn't invisible. With Neha's guidance, Aarav registered Cleanlink as a company. He hired two other young developers from similar backgrounds. They worked from a donated office space. They didn't have air conditioning. They had fans, old desktops, and dreams. Soon, they launched a second app. This one helped urban residents schedule trash pickups from local waste workers. Revenue trickled in. Then partnerships, then real investment. Aarav was invited to speak at tech summits. He sat on panels with CEOs. Once, he even shared a stage with the Minister of IT. Cameras flashed. Reporters asked, "Where did you study?" "I studied in the trash," Aarav smiled. The audience laughed, but his eyes said he wasn't joking. Aarav never forgot where he came from. He used part of his profits to set up coding classes in slums across Mumbai. He started a program called Code from the Ground, providing laptops, internet access, and volunteer mentors to children like him. Talent is everywhere, he told donors. Opportunity is not. At 21, Aarav opened the Slum Tech Academy, a free school that taught poor kids everything from HTML to AI. His first class had 12 students. One of them, a girl named Ruksar, would go on to win a national AI challenge 2 years later. Aarav cried when he saw her on stage. One morning, he received an email from a well-known Silicon Valley investor. "I've read your story. If you ever want to expand globally, let's talk." He flew to the US for the first time in his life. When he entered the Google campus, he whispered to himself, "From garbage to Google." Years had passed. One day, walking through Dharavi, Aarav saw a boy scavenging trash just like he once had. He gave him a laptop and a card with the address of his school. "Come if you're curious," Aarav said with a smile. By 25, Aarav was listed in Forbes 30 under 30. Time called him, the code breaker from the slums. But the biggest honor came when Meena, his mother, was invited to speak about her son at a women's empowerment forum. She stood on stage, trembling, and said, "He used to come home with garbage. Now he brings hope." Aarav's message in every speech was simple. Poverty is a condition, not an identity. I may have been born in the slum, but my mind was never trapped there. Aarav built a real home for his family. A proper house with a kitchen, electricity, and a small library. When he handed the keys to his mother, she wept silently. "I wanted to give you the world," she said. "You already did," Aarav replied. Aarav became a voice for tech inclusion. He spoke at the United Nations, advocating for digital education access for all. His life had become larger than his wildest imagination, but he remained grounded. He still walked the slums often, mentoring kids, fixing old laptops, and reminding himself where it all began. Aarav was no longer just the boy who coded his way out of poverty. He was the man who used code to change poverty. In a world full of people waiting to be discovered, he became the boy who dug through trash and found not just a broken laptop, but a purpose. And from that purpose, he built a future, not just for himself, but for thousands like him. Morality, talent knows no boundaries. With resilience, curiosity, and purpose, even a boy from the trash can transform the world with code. Anyway, that's all for today's story. If you like it, then definitely like, comment, share, and if you are new to the channel, then definitely subscribe and stay with us. Thank you.